when I was considering on how I might take part in YouTube and bring information, resources, a conversation to this platform, I thought about a lot of different ways that I might film. And I have posted a number of those. Some I've taken down, some I've left simply for a reference for myself and as a learning curve. I was prompted by other channels like Retired with Purpose, Kevin Colby, and certainly motivated by other content creators that I thoroughly enjoy their creativity and their unique style. Recording myself from my vehicle wasn't one of my first options, and though I'm wondering if it might be one of the best opportunities, because I find that as I practice what I preach as a health educator, and the purpose of my channel is to take the information from my website, from my career, from the passion I have regarding health and health management, that's the design of my Anderson Therapeutics Aging Well channel. And I find that as I set boundaries for myself, my buttons are most often pushed when I am at work and in the field, and I'm juggling a number of responsibilities right now. Aren't you? Whether you're living alone like I am, whether you're partnered, whether you still have children at home, or maybe are in that sandwich generation and caring for elders, caring for yourself, caring for children, spouse, all those type of dynamics, variety of different lifestyles. My expertise and my strongest credentials surround helping people to better manage chronic health. And it came in really handy when I got severely ill myself and wound up with dual hip replacement in my 40s. Here I am today. Had a lovely morning that then got sidetracked by a number of button pushes and deadlines, a little bit of emotional anguish as I was considering some financial concerns and raising housing costs. A number of things ran through my mind this morning where it took a lot more than my typical health management routine. I have a very standard wake cycle, a wake routine. Sleep hygiene is one thing, though I have a wake routine. I love mornings. Mornings are my favorite time of day. Have been my entire life, mainly my adult life. I love the quiet, the freedom. It's my favorite time of day to exercise, to putter, to enjoy a cup of coffee. I'm a writer. I have the clearest head, the most creativity in the morning. Though this morning, because of some monkey mind moments and getting a little caught up in my ego and fear and taking too much angst and allowing that to weigh on me rather than put some of my self-care remedies into place, I missed out on about half of my morning workout routine, which once I started into my routine, it always kicks in my endorphins, clears my head, re-energizes me, motivates me, and certainly because of my chronic conditions, specifically with joint replacement, daily movement and a very, I was going to say regimented, though that makes it sound. I love my workout. I've been active my entire life. I played sports in school. I have a very set routine that I have worked my way into that I love. It's very enjoyable for me. And not only do I get the physical boost from it with the endorphins, the extra oxygen, the energy, I feel a spiritual peace of mind, and certainly that emotional happy, happy, happy joy type of a feeling. As I took that feeling into the day of the week it is that it's a staff meeting, I had a number of things that were my responsibility to bring forth. I work in public health. I sit on an advisory board. I knew there were going to be some heavy topics at work today, as well as the people that I serve in the field also have some heavy experiences that they're dealing with, that some things I can assist with, guide them with resources, suggestions, education, those type of things, other things that are well beyond my credentials that I need to refer out. Bottom line, though, is that number of responsibilities, get myself into the, suit up, show up. During our staff meeting, then the conversation took a turn as we were having case discussion, and I certainly won't disclose and, have any privacy concerns. Needless to say, there were some upsetting conversations and upsetting shares that, as anyone who works in a caring type position, that those are triggers, and to have those without being processed properly, and thankfully our team is well skilled and we have leaders who can guide us through that process. Without that, it could have been a much heavier weight. It does open that somewhat of a wound up, because we are in my field of home visiting and even health education, my background in alternative health, I encounter people who are severely ill. And while I feel qualified, I also need to maintain those boundaries while also taking care of myself. It's a bit of a wave. It's not even a seesaw. Sometimes it can feel like that. That riding that wave can be exhausting, which is why in the morning that I take extra care and time to invest in that morning routine, my wake routine, and that whole cycle that puts me in my highest place, that I feel energized, I'm well fed, I've got everything set for the day, that I can go forward to manage things better. That doesn't say things can't get out of hand. They certainly can, though, by having that buffer, that foundation. That's where managing chronic conditions is truly that extra job, the never-ending job that many adults find exhausting and sometimes will give up on. And that's where I want to bring information to this platform to encourage and support and empower, because there are very valid reasons on why people can feel enough despair or depression, giving up hope. Those are the aspects where with guidance, with partnering with qualified mental health, spiritual guides, healthcare providers, health educators, wellness coaches, there are ways to bring yourself back. And knowing that inside, wherever you're at, you know your health better than anyone. That is the boundary that I maintain and invest time in, even if it's in reflection or perhaps at the end of the day when I'm thinking about gratitude or decompressing, reflecting on a hard day, taking that time to give myself credit where credit's due and recognize where I set a boundary, where I said no, where I took the time to recharge my batteries. When something stresses us out, takes us by surprise, we've got a flare-up of some kind, that chronic pain, whatever symptoms that you may be dealing with in managing chronic health, those are the aspects of managing that which can be incredibly complex in a work environment if you feel that you are needing to explain yourself or even a justification. And that really can push buttons. I find in my situation currently, I've heard the term invisible disabilities. I'm not a fan of that. I have abilities and I have limitations. And any limitation that I have is an invitation from my body as a safety reminder. There are certainly things that aren't in my best interest as far as movement and such as bending in certain directions with dual hip replacement. I don't want to have a dislocation. Things like that. And there are phrases, and it's almost when you're living with a chronic condition that perhaps people will question or need explanation, it's almost as when you're coming up with an elevator speech, thinking about business pitches and interviewing, those type of things. That's how I felt as I was recovering from joint replacement and getting accustomed to talking about my new bionic self and how I could and couldn't safely maneuver my environment. And that certainly has changed over time. And it will continue to do so, because for those of us who have chronic health conditions that are degenerative, I have arthritis. It's osteoarthritis. I also have osteoporosis. A large number of women do, and men. Those are conditions that we treat and we manage. They don't get better. Some of the ways that are really useful for me to manage are are the basics of lifestyle medicine, such as the morning movement that I described. It took a long time after my surgeries for me to work with physical therapy to get to the routine, certainly, that I have now. I've had joint replacement since 2011. And modifying based on where I am will continue to change as I change. Viewing it as a dance and an honorable process is a way that's helped me to not look at it as though I oh, it's getting emotional, as though as though I'm missing out. I had plenty of time to grieve since I received joint replacement under odd conditions, and I was very active prior to that point. I needed a time to grieve and to fully comprehend that there were a lot of activities that I would no longer be able to do. And that's also a natural course for many adults as we get older, is realizing that there may be things that, and it's okay as mature adults, that we change what we're able to do. Another way to recharge my batteries, I've shared this in my foodie videos, and since we're on a work day, it's getting close to my next appointment, and it's long past my lunch hour, though. I invested in an electric lunchbox. It's really chilly now, and I love having a hot meal. And when I'm in the field, I don't always want to stop at a gas station to use some not so tidy microwave or even rely on a thermos, and ensuring that I have a well-designed, beautifully prepared meal. And I love to cook. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. Do you pack a lunch for yourself and nourish yourself? Or stop somewhere that is giving you that nourishment boost? There's plenty of times where I just stop at a grocery store, go in and pick up some sushi or a banana or something. And I do follow the START solution. I follow a whole food, plant-based, oil-free meal plan. A lot different level than what you would call vegan. Other things is taking my breaks. And like I said earlier, I work multiple jobs. Maybe you do too. I pencil in. I'm a pen and paper person. I use my gadgets, and I also ensure that I have a morning break, I have an afternoon break, and I take a lunch. To invest that time to feel my best. What are some of the things that you're doing for you to set better boundaries, to age well, to nourish yourself? And what might you do this evening to help yourself wind down, to get a better night's sleep, and perhaps wake up a little bit earlier in the morning to do whatever type of exercise routine that fits your abilities? In the description, I will put a link to my website. It's andersontherapeutics.com. All of the resources, tips, and tools on that website have always been free. I launched that website in 2016 and put that together as someone who has been a caregiver, a patient advocate, and worked in the field of health since 1996. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.